Hey guys, it's Joe, and welcome back to my guides for the rares of Mist of Pandaria. This time we're going to be looking at the champions of Lay Shen on the Isle of Thunder. This new island is brought to us in patch 5.2 and will contain 10 new rares that ultimately give us the achievement, the champions of Lay Shen. There is, however, an 11th rare that is on the island, but it has nothing to do with this particular achievement, so we'll just go ahead and tack that one on at the end. The unique thing about these rares is they drop items that will summon other elites and things that will give you more drops and more achievements, so we'll go over that here, but let's look at the initial drops from these particular rares. First off, when you kill one of these rare champions of Lay Shen, you're going to get 15 valor points. While that's consistent every time you kill a rare, the rest of these are going to be percentage based, so you're going to deal with RNG whether you get these particular drops or not. First one you're going to be looking at is the Shanssey Ritual Stone. What's important about these is once you get 3 of them, you'll be able to summon elites. While I have heard some of these are soloable by certain classes, for the most part, these are going to be group elites for you to kill. Another potential drop from these champions of Lay Shen are called the Incantations. When you use these items at the corresponding gravestones of these particular guys, you will have a mob come out and you will be able to defeat him. These are very soloable, and you will get an achievement for killing one, and as well as for all 3 of them. The last item that can drop from these rare champions is called the Key to the Palace of Lay Shen. Now it can also drop from random mobs as well, but just bear in mind it does come from these rares also. This key, when turned into Tayoshi, will allow you to run the single player scenario Troves of the Thunder King. Now one last thing I want to go over before we get to the rares themselves is the mechanic that they have changed with these rares in this particular patch. This time out, if you tag a rare, it is not solely individually yours. It can be tagged by others, whether they're in your group, a opposite faction, doesn't matter. Consequently, nobody misses out on the kill, as well as the fact that everybody has a chance at loot. The only stipulation is for every additional person that is on the rare, it will increase its health by 50%. You can see it's at base health when I hit it, and then another person hits it, and then bam, it increases health. Here now we're going to have a third person who is not in our party join the fight, and you're going to see an additional increase in health as they charge in. So yeah, there's the extra 50% again with the third person. And now the interesting thing is watch them run away. They're going to run away and the health is going to go back down. So this is based as much on proximity as it is activity in the fight. Somebody's not going to be able to just dot the mob and then run down the street and have you deal with that extra 50% the whole way. They have to stay and participate in the fight. That being said, let's take a look at the rares themselves. There they are. You can see all 11, like I said, 10 for the achievement, but 1 extra as well, and I'll show you that at the end. And so let's go ahead and begin with the Haywire Sunreaver construct down there on the beach just south of the Igalic Crag. As you can see, the Haywire Sunreaver construct lives up to its name, running around like crazy on that beach down there. Now the reason I wanted to put this rare first in this guide is because it has an additional drop the others do not, so stay tuned after the kill to go ahead and see that as well. The only ability the Haywire Sunreaver construct actually has is called Haywire. It deals between 18.5 and 21,500 nature damage to all enemies within 40 yards for every 1 second for 20 seconds, and increases movement speed by 100%. Now keep in mind this does have a 3-second cast time, so it can be interrupted and stunned. So as you can see, there's going to be a little bit of damage going out. You can see our health bar is kind of fluctuating. Just use your self heals and everything and you should be fine. Now, unlike the other rares here on the Isle of Thunder, this one actually drops a pet as well. It's the only one that does. It's called the Sunreaver Micro-Sentry. It just happens to be a mini version of the Haywire Sunreaver construct. So again, yet another reason to go out and hunt these rares, particular for you pet battlers and you pet collectors, because there you go, you can see it's gnome size. They're just a little bit smaller than gnome anyway. Alright, next up we head over to the west, to Kalaiy the Sky Claw, just on the beach there by Zatual. Apparently Kalaiy likes long walks on the beach, and he brings his friend the Terror Wing. Now the problem that presents for us is that gives this guy a buff. The Spirit Bond, a bond between the Terror Wing and its master, reduces the master's damage taken by 50% as long as the Terror Wing is alive. So he will be your first target. Take down the Terror Wing, drop the buff, and then set your sights on Kalaiy himself. Kalaiy has a couple of abilities. One in particular we have to worry about is Blade Wind. It's of course a typical whirlwind, spinning around in a whirl of blades, inflicting 46k to 53k physical damage to nearby enemies every 1 second for 10 seconds. And the other one is the Leaping Rend. This one is particularly nasty. He leaps at the target and slashes, causing the target to bleed for 20k physical damage every 1 second for 10 seconds, so pretty nasty. Now the Leaping Rend is an instant cast, but it does happen right after Blade Wind every time. So like in this case, Xerxes with with me, and he was playing his mage. He was able to blink out of the way as he saw it coming right after. As you can see, he didn't do it there, but in the other cases, he did. Trust me. Now, Kalaiy is very stunnable. I was able to use Stomp on him and avoid the Leaping Rend as well, so that's another way to handle it. Probably preferable, and if you have a group, obviously, you could just chain stun him and be no problem at all. Alright, we now move just north of the crag this time for Progentius. This guy's mean. And how is he mean? You'll see here in a second when we get to his abilities. The first thing is to bear in mind he's on top of a giant rock, which, obviously, plummeting to your death would be a bad thing. That might parlay into his abilities a bit. Let's check that out. His first main ability is called Unleash Blood. It inflicts 46k to 53k nature damage to all enemies within 10 yards and knocks them back. Now that's the key to this, it knocks them back. He'll put a circle on the ground to tell you where the 10 yards is. My advice, get out of it. We tried to put our butts up against these dinosaur bones to keep us from being knocked back, and it was not real successful. Depending on the angle, it can still push you past. So you can see that, just get out of that circle. It's for the best. Along with the circle on the ground, you also have a 2-second cast time, so either get out of it or stun it, either one works. His next main ability is called Mutagenic Burst. It inflicts 46k to 53k nature damage to all enemies within 5 yards and knocks them up. I'm telling you, this guy is mean. He wants you off his mountain. It also is an instant cast. So that one you can kind of hang underneath that big dinosaur skull, and if it bumps you up, you just hit your head and you go right back down. Easy peasy, no problem to deal with. Obviously, there's the damage, but you know, you can easily self-heal through it. Last but not least is the ability called Evolution. This increases all damage dealt by 10%. So, again, just something you kind of have to deal with. No big deal. If you can keep them stunned and basically just not fall to your death, you should be perfectly fine with this particular rare. Alright, we head west over there towards the Court of Bones to a building. The very top floor holds Mamta. He's got himself a deluxe apartment in the sky. As you can see, Mamta is a Mogu. He's always doing his magic thing constantly until you come and interrupt him. So let's do that and look at his ability, shall we? First ability we'll have to deal with is called Spirit Bolts. It deals shadow damage to all nearby enemies for every 0.5 seconds. Really, the damage is negligible, no big deal. While it's not a lot of damage, Mamta throws a little wrench in the works and casts Darkest Darkness. Now, this debuff reduces healing taken by 99% for 20 seconds, so good luck healing at that point. Where this will really come into play is his last ability, Vengeful Spirit. It summons a Vengeful Spirit to assist the caster. Now, this does a significant amount of damage to you. It's just a spirit that wanders around and cannot be killed. You just have to get out of its way. You're probably going to take almost a third of your health's damage every time you get near it. So if it happens to cast, which you can interrupt the cast so you don't have to deal with it, if it does get out, just kite the boss away from him. Don't even deal with it. There's nothing you can do. Just get away. It's not an ad you can kill. Just literally get away or you will die. Alright, we're going to move up north just past the Diremore to Goda, the Shy Turtle. As you can see, I'm not kidding, he is shy. He does not want to be attacked. He wants to be left alone, so he hides in his little tree. So sad we have to kill you. It does actually kind of make me feel bad when I have to kill animals like this, but you know what? I have achievements and stuff to get, boy, so you're dead. Goda only has 2 real abilities you have to worry about. One is Shell Spin. Basically, it's a whirlwind. Spins around for 10 seconds, inflicting 92k to 107k physical damage every 1 second to enemies within 10 yards and knocking them back. That is more significant damage than any of the other whirlwinds, so definitely watch out for that. He also has a crystalline shield, which protects the caster in a crystalline shield, reducing magical damage by 10%. So, not a big deal, obviously. It's only 10% even if you are a caster with magic. Don't worry about it, no big deal. Again, he's one of the easier ones. You just kind of have to fight through his shield and then, again, avoid or stun his spin and you'll be fine. Moving further north, we're going to go to Altabim, the All-Seeing. He's a Zandalari troll up to no good over here on the coast, playing with the giant cauldron with some kind of Smurf bubble guts at the top. So anyway, right off the bat, the first ability we're going to have to look at is called Omen. It inflicts 400k shadow damage after 2 minutes. This essentially puts a timer on the entire fight. He has an enrage, ladies and gentlemen. Not something I thought I'd ever see necessarily on a rare spawn. Next ability you're going to see is called Meteor Shower. You're going to see this a lot on some of the Zandalari rares here in this particular patch, and it just dumps a shower of meteors dealing fire damage on impact locations. It hits pretty hard if you do get hit dead on, so just kind of avoid it, obviously. The other way to handle it, of course, is to stun him during the cast. Now, that will just delay it. He will eventually do it again, and probably during your cooldown, but at least it'll temporarily solve that problem. And last, the ability of Shadow Bolt Volley. It hurls missiles of dark magic inflicting shadow damage to nearby enemies. This is another one of those negligible kind of AoE damage things. Don't worry about it. It really doesn't matter. Those meteors, though, however, do avoid them at all costs. Now we head east, and though we have an army, they have a God Hulk. Ramuk is up next. You'll see a lot of these God Hulks running around the island, but there is only one Ramuk. He is guarding these particular doors. What could be on the other side? There is a couple things. But anyway, let's move on. First main ability we have to deal with Mr. Ramuk is called Crouch. It's a channeled ability where he crouches down into a ball, reducing incoming damage by 50% and then healing himself for 5% of maximum health every 3 seconds for 20 seconds. I was, however, able to interrupt it as a bear with Skull Bash, so if you have a class with a similar ability, you'll be able to do the same thing. Next ability we'll have to deal with is called the Blessing of Thunder. Call for the Blessing of Lay Shen, increasing damage dealt by 100%, damage taken by 50%, and reducing movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. Not a huge deal here. Again, he will increase damage, but he'll also take extra damage, reduce movement speed. You're killing him fairly quick, and you're not really moving around a lot, so I don't see a big problem unless you need to kite for some particular reason. And lastly, he has an ability called Pound, which inflicts 138k to 161k physical damage to enemies within 5 yards of the impact and knocking them back. Again, some pretty significant damage, but the knockback also, so just try and stay away from it. It does have a 1.5 second cast, so you are able to run away and get out of that 5-yard range. Alright, next up we have Molthor, who is in a tower not too far away from Ramuk. As you can see, he's in the tower. He must come here to calm his nerves and watch the tide come in and out. The interesting thing about Molthor is while he only uses 3 abilities per fight, he actually has 5 to choose from. What 3 of these 5 is just randomly chosen. You can see when you go up to him, he'll actually have little buffs on his bar that tell you which ones he's going to be using, so you're going to be aware of them ahead of time before you even pull. I'm just going to go over all 5 of them just in case, so whatever you happen to get, completely at random, you'll know how to deal with them. First 2 we already dealt with on Altabim and Mamta, which is Meteor Shower and Vengeful Spirit. The third one, however, is new. It's Horrific Visage. Strikes fear in an enemy, causing it to flee in terror for 8 seconds. So it's just a fear, something annoying, but yeah, you'll be fine with it. The next one is a lot more painful. It's called Thunder Crush. Crushes enemies in a cone in front of the caster for 231k to 268k nature damage. You'll see the little gray bubbles on the ground. Just get out of the way. Be very careful because, yeah, that's a lot of damage. The last of the 5 abilities that you might get is Scarab Swarm. It summons a bevy of scarabs to attack the enemy. Honestly, again, another little AoE negligible damage. You can just go ahead and take care of them with any kind of AoE damage and you're perfectly fine. Alright, we head west to our next to last rare for this particular achievement, Luban the Warcrafter. Alright, Warcrafter, you get it? World of Warcraft. Anyway, he seems pretty intent on making his weapons of war, so it really is an appropriate name, even though it is a bit of a pun, of course. Alright, this guy only has 2 abilities we really have to worry about. First one is Skyforged Hammers. Obviously, that's what he has in his hands. The Skyforged Hammers inflict 27k to 32k nature damage on melee attacks. The next is called Stormbolt. He flings a hammer at a distant target, inflicting 138k to 161k physical damage, stunning them for 3 seconds. Now it has a 2-second cast. The Skyforged Hammer has 2.5-second cast. Again, he can be stunned, so that would interrupt either one of those. And just around the corner from Luban through a cave, we have Backbreaker Uru, our last stop for this achievement. One thing you'll notice about Mr. Uru is that he likes to walk in and out of this particular cave right here. So yeah, and there's a lot of ads within the cave, so I like to pull him out onto this little platform here and take him out there. If you do get any ads, you could always just go, you know, dump aggro or just run out of range and hope that they reset. Or, you know, just deal with them. There's always that option as well. Now, Uru has two main abilities. The first is Break Spine. He crushes the target's spine, rooting them in place and reducing their chance to dodge and parry by 100% for 15 seconds. Yeah, it's not fun, but, you know, if you're a tank, you're sort of used to that kind of abuse, I guess. And then the next is Massive Stomp. This deals 185k to 215k physical damage to all enemies within 30 yards. This ability only affects targets that are on the ground, so yeah, it's quite the nasty effect. It does have a 2-second cast, or you can interrupt it or heal through it. It is a 30-yard range, so 2 seconds is not a lot of time to get out of there, so you pretty much kind of have to deal with it if you're melee anyway. And that completes the 10 rares that we need for the achievement, the Champions of Lay Shen. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, I did promise we'd have one more rare that is not a part of the achievement, but I wanted to include him while we were at it anyway. His name is Rasha, and he's in the back of a cave down by Zatual. Looks like Rasha has a man cave going on while he's doing his taxidermy, or butchery, or I don't know. Ooh. He's not happy with me. Anyway, let's go on to the abilities real quick here before he does something rash. Rasha? Oh god, that was bad pun. First ability we have is called Bloody Strike. It's instant attack that deals 110% weapon damage, increases attack damage by 5%, but reduces the chance to hit by 5% in the last 15 seconds. The next is Mark of Blood. Whenever the marked enemy deals damage to a target, that target is healed for 4% of its maximum health. Next is Blood Bolt. It inflicts damage to an enemy and reduces its movement speed for 4 seconds. Now, Rasha did give us our 15 Valor, so that's good, that's still consistent, but he also dropped a couple other things. A big bag of Sandalari supplies, which had some cloth and such in it, but the main thing is Rasha's Sacrificial Dagger. The flavor text says, a faint whispering can be heard inside your own head. The dagger bids you to thrust it deep into your heart. Do you dare comply? And then, of course, you can use it, and, oh, Perculia, yeah, Perculia decided to use it, and you can see the result of that. And that is not like a feign death, ladies and gentlemen. That is a death. She had to be rezzed. So use that whenever you deem necessary. I don't know, when you go to Goldshire or something? I don't know. Alright guys, that is it for the guide for the rares of the Champions of Lay Shen. I want to thank all my friends helping me out on the PTR to kill these: Perculia, Serrinne, Serenity, Saz, and Xerxes. Perculia especially for all the information and the resource over at Wowhead that she has been amazing. And my friend Kristin helping me with all the tooltip graphics. This video wouldn't be the same without all of you. Thank you so much. As for you guys, thank you so much for watching, liking, favoriting, subscribing, commenting, all that stuff. Please check out my other guides, which you'll see a link here on this particular map. Just click on it. It will take you to the entire map for every rares guide that I have ever done. Thank you guys so much, and as always, please take care of yourselves.